Hey man, what's up?
What's good, bro? It's good to see you. I appreciate you having me.
No problem, of course. I don't know how to start this off. This is really the first episode, but I guess brief intro about me. My name is Esteban. I'm an SDR, but I also help people become SDRs by breaking into the industry. The first episode is with you. I'm glad I had it with you. We've kind of had a relationship so far in the past. We kind of work together and kind of build on how we help people. So with that being said, just give a quick introduction, about yourself and what your name is and what you do.
Yeah, I appreciate you. So yeah, like he said, me and Esteban, we've been working together, just really being business partners, trying to optimize the business. So what we do is we help people get into tech sales. Whenever I'm doing interviews, I like people to get a little more personal. So my name is Azuri. It's pronounced Azuri, like Missouri without the M. I'm 24 years old. When I was 22, I got my IT degree. And once I got my IT degree, I was like, okay, I wanted to see what I wanted to do. They was like, okay, you need to get into the sales and services side of things. Once I told them I like communicating, building relationships. So that's what I ended up doing is getting into tech sales. But it was like a 2 year journey. So it took about 2 years for me to figure everything out. I like using a map analogy. I tell all my mentees, it's like a map. It's like if I say, okay, here's a map, go find the treasure, give you the whole US map, it's gonna take you forever to find that treasure if you ever find that treasure. If I say, okay, it's right here, Atlanta, Georgia, 6 feet deep. Here's the coordinates. Here's the zip code. Then you're gonna be able to find it. You know for a fact you're gonna be able to find that treasure. So that's what I help everybody do is just changing lives by helping people get a new career.
Yeah, and I mean everybody's journey is different. You went to college. I didn't go to college. And I know for most of the SDR roles, the qualifications are like a bachelor's in communications or a bachelor's in marketing. I didn't take that route, but I still found my way in. And the map analogy is a pretty good analogy, but it's hard to find the treasure when you don't know where you're going or how you're gonna get there. Um, You said something about a 2 year journey, and a lot of people don't realize how much time it takes, especially when you're starting from not knowing or having no experience. So, like, what were the biggest challenges for you that you faced starting off, just trying to break into the industry?
Yeah, that's an amazing question. So, like you said, it's I tell everybody it's like a spiritual thing as far as manifestation and believing in yourself and thinking into existence. So when they told me, because I was doing shuttles, so I'm doing like Uber ride from people's houses and back. I'm taking them to their crib from the dealership, and I'm telling them like, man, I don't like coding, I don't like networking, but I'm trying to get into tech. They like you need to get into the sales and services side of things. It was like a dream to me. It was a way out thing where I'm like, man, I might get this one day. It'll be something I know I need certification, outside projects, education, work experience, Nobel Peace Prize. That's how I'm thinking in my head. I need all this stuff just for me to even get a chance. So it wasn't something I was just like, how do I get into tech sales? Let me find a mentor. What CRM? So I need to start using what cold calls, what cold email. I didn't know anything. So for me, it was just like, okay, I want to get to tech sales. Then it took me another year to some change, probably a year and a half, to actually learn the steps that it took to get into tech sales. Once I went, so that was the thing is ignorance debt. So you asked me what's the biggest challenge of overcoming to getting into it is ignorance debt. That's why a mentor is so important because they say if you don't pay a mentor, you're gonna pay life. And
Yeah.
that's the perfect example. So I wasted a year and probably 6, 7 months because I didn't even start looking. I didn't even reach out to nobody that already did it. I didn't start thinking of the steps that I needed to do. I just wanted to, oh yeah, tech sales is a dream. So that's the biggest challenge was just taking that leap of faith, getting a mentor, doing course careers. Once I did that, it was like, okay, I see the roadmap. I see exactly how everything gonna go. Now I can just apply myself. It's like you got a lot of energy and you know where to focus the energy. Because if you
Yeah.
don't, you run in circles. So that was the biggest thing was just getting that knowledge in the first place of the steps I need to take in order to get into tech sales.
Right. So what were like the most necessary skills that you learned that got you into where you needed to be?
To be real with you, the skills that I teach, that's the best. And the skills that work for me weren't necessarily the same. So, in terms of the skills that I teach, cold calling, cold emailing, making 30, 60, 90 day plans, presentations, setting up a CRM, how to talk to people on LinkedIn, all that stuff. That's the extra stuff to self-source the interview and then perform an interview. The thing that worked for me the best was just applying. At the end of the day, you can do all the cold calling, cold, all this stuff. Applying is always going to be king because you never know if a company really needs you and you just apply, that might be all you need. I know people that worked at Seamless AI. I done called them, emailed them, reached out on LinkedIn, did all this stuff. All they did was apply and they just got them. And that's just how it works sometimes. So applying, that's the first step. You got a bare minimum 5 applications. That's the easy side. Really, you want to get up there 10, 15, 20 a day. So once you start doing that, then you're gonna start getting interviews, then you start reaching out to people. But in terms of what helped me, I say it was my enthusiasm. They told me, they said, man, I could feel your energy through the screen. They said, if you can sell this software as good as you can sell yourself, we'd be lucky to have you. So that they was exactly right too, because I came right in, started being a top performer, and it was just like it all came from that confidence. The biggest challenge, like I said, was just ignorance debt, and yeah, it's one of them things where you just got to believe it, and then it's nothing to actually do once you know the steps to take.
Yeah, I agree. What I tell people is like getting a job is a job in itself, but ironically,
In
like
fact, yeah,
you need the skills of an SDR to get any job, but in particular, the jobs that they're looking for is to become an SDR. So I always tell people like in order to get the interview, you have to be an SDR because I tell people you can if you're not following up with more people than the places that you're applying to, then you're just there's no point almost, you know what I'm saying? Because if you're just
yeah,
waiting for them to reach back out to you, there's a way less chance versus you like creating the opportunity for yourself. But I also tell people in interviews, because you mentioned like selling yourself, I tell them like you have to be an SDR to get the interview, aka set the meeting. But when you're in the interview, you have to be the account executive. Like you have to know how to close the deal, then move on to the next step. And like a lot of people like when they look at it like that, it makes more sense to them. You know what I'm saying? Like it's kind of
yeah,
like a role play in their mind, and they're like, oh, okay, yeah, I get what you're saying, or like I get where you're going with it, because and you can use that in any job, not just like for this in general, you know.
right.
But can you kind of just like I guess for people who are inexperienced trying to get in the industry, what would like a day to day look like for them or for you personally? What was your day to day like as an SDR? What were your successful days looking like, and what were your bad days looking like?
That's a great question. So as far as just the breakdown of the actual activities that I was doing on a day to day, it'll look something like this. On a good day, wake up, you got to get your mental right first. So I'm gonna eat some tea, some coffee, whatever I got to get going. You feel me? Get some good energy going. Get because you got to be mentally in the right space to do this stuff, especially when it comes to purely cold calling. And you got to
Mhm.
be very positive and optimistic no matter what's going on because you're gonna face a lot of rejection, objections, hanging up in your face, slam dunking you, kicking your teeth, and all that. You go into that. So when I first start off the day, I get ready. Then I'll probably make a few calls, like 10 to 20 calls. Then once I do that, now it's about prospecting. So in terms of prospecting, I actually started my business from using the framework that I learned of the SDR. So the way it worked, I was in the metal fabrication industry. So you would type in something like laser metal fabrication shop, Houston. Then I'm gonna go to that. I'm gonna go to each one. I'm gonna see the employees, the revenue, the operations, making sure they're a good fit. So what they call that is making sure that they are ICP, an ideal customer persona. Once you do that, then you got to find the POC, which is the point of contact, the ideal person for you to speak to. That's rather a user or a decision maker. So for us, that was estimators, VP of sales, director of business development, presidents, all them good stuff. So you reach out to them. Of course, you got to be very professional when you're talking to them, but you create a sales cadence. So you're going to create some emails. Now, one, I'm going to give y'all some free game on this one. When it comes to Chat GPT, when I first came to my company, I was like, people told me Chat GPT is bad and you want to be personable and all that.
Same.
Yeah, you do.
Hmm.
But you got personalization and you got automation.
Yeah.
That goes with applying to a job too. If you applying to a job and you really want this job, you need to gear your resume towards this role. That's personalization. If I was reaching out to Esteban and I really wanted to build a connection with him, work with him, I'm gonna personalize that. Esteban, I see you from here. I'm doing so when you personalizing, you're gonna have a lot more success. So you always got to do that. So what was the question again though?
It was kind of like what your good days look like as an SDR or what your bad
Oh
days
yeah.
look like.
Yeah. So once I create my sales cadence, so I'm gonna create my emails, then I'll create my sales cadences. It might be like, okay, cold call this day, cold email this day, however I want it to go. Then I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna cold call, I'm gonna cold email, and I'm gonna get the meetings booked. My quota was 2 meetings in a week because we had no product market fit. That was extremely hard to hit. But if you at a company with a lot better product market fit, then it won't be that hard. It's one of those things where tech sales is very volatile. So one of your opportunities, it might be a very good product market fit and it might be smooth, but you might have to go through a struggle role to get to that. So you might have to go to a role that ain't paying the most or the product market fit ain't the best just to get your foot in the door and get the experience. Then you can get you a real solid role and really be picky and choose the best one for you.
So I know you were talking about like ICPs and POCs, and you explained what that was, and you explained how like you use a sequence to follow up with these people. I just wanted to ask you like how can they use that same idea to follow up with employers when they apply to places and stuff like that?
Now that's a great question. So a CRM, that's what we use. So we use Zoom Info, Engage, or we use NetSuite or HubSpot. So what a CRM is a database that houses all these people's
Yeah.
information, their job title, their number, their email, all this stuff. So that's the first thing you do. You get to a CRM, Apollo.io, Clay, them Zoom Info, them just a few. So once you get this sales intelligence platform, the sales intelligence platform is a database that you subscribe to that's gonna have people's information, numbers, email. That's what you first need to get. So you first get you a sales intelligence platform. Then you need to go, depending on what tool you use, like let's say you use Apollo, you go for the company. Sometimes you're gonna see the hiring manager on LinkedIn. If you don't see the hiring manager on LinkedIn, you're just gonna have to see what's the most relevant positions, who will probably be hiring, implement them into a sales cadence. So this is gonna be different than just cold call, cold email. It might look something like call on this day, send an email this day, engage on LinkedIn this day, add them on LinkedIn this day, send a video this day, send a voice note this day, call them again. So now you done did exactly what you gonna do in the role to get the role. So that's called doing the job to get the job. So I tell all my mentees, if you want this job and you will make 250 calls if they told you to, why you can't make 250 calls for yourself to get the job?
Right. And like I want to ask for you personally, what was the hardest part? Was it finding the prospects, sequencing, following up with them, or the interview?
The interview. The interview
Right.
is the hardest part of it all. The interview is the most important and the hardest part. I done had some of the best interviews. Like I had an interview at Brightwheel for an account executive position. I reached out to a lady on LinkedIn and she told me she made 150K in that role last year. So
Mhm.
I would have been going from SDR to AE and at least doubling my salary, really more than that. So it's like when you come in and you get all these interviews and then you got so many lined up that you don't get to over prepare. People is putting 15 hours, creating an extra PowerPoint, doing all this extra stuff, going above and beyond. That's why I tell everybody, it's like, okay, it's gonna be about who gonna go the extra mile, who gonna do the things that everybody else is not willing to do, because it's a hyper competitive market and it's a hyper competitive world. Everybody want a remote job where they can just do this, do that, be able to do it forever, get the skills, make a business, laptop lifestyle, all that. So it's a very competitive thing. So you need to be able to go above and beyond. I done self-sourced so many interviews like I had. So that was another one. All T sales, they said top performers making like 150 or 180. Uh, Animaker. I've been an animaker for 3 to 4 months
Mhm.
and I did six rounds of interviews. So
Insane.
that's an account. So you can get a million interviews, it ain't a job offer. So 20 high level interviews compared to just a good job, you rather have just a good job that you actually get it. So yeah, you can learn how to self source. You can cold call, cold email, get all these interviews lined up. If you don't secure the bag, get the job offer, job's not done. It's like Kobe said, job's not done yesterday.
Yeah.
Job's not done.
What was the best way you prepared for the interviews?
That's a real good question. So I actually just had an interview. So I'm gonna create a game plan, something like this. Y'all ain't gonna be able to really see it, but basically, and reach out to me on LinkedIn and Zuri Henderson. I'm gonna teach y'all the step by step. But just to give a brief overview of it, I'm gonna have like my categories down the side, and then I'm gonna have my compendious statements. So, for example, I'm trying to think which one I want to tell y'all. So let's say they ask you about salary. Now I wouldn't write this because I already know this answer by heart. But let's say you was just starting off, you would write this down. They say, okay, what salaries? And I'm just using salary because I don't want to give out the.
Yeah.
But it's answers to certain questions that I teach my mentees. So this is just a free gem for y'all. So if they ask you your
Hmm.
salary. I'm currently in the process of multi-round interviews ranging from 90 to 130K or whatever. So whatever you say your lowest number and your highest, or not your highest number, but just a high number. So now what you're doing is you exemplifying value. You're not saying, oh, 80,000, that's what I really wanted. No, you're not saying what you wanted. You said, I'm already in the process of doing this. This is my value. This is what I'm bringing to the table. So it's certain things that you're going to say in an interview like that. So I'm going to write these different compendious statements. Now, you still want to be actively listening because if you're not paying attention at any moment, they can say something, wants you to repeat it, and you can't. Now you just messed up on the interview. The next person not going to mess it up. So that's the biggest thing. You want to create a game plan like that. It's like Martin Luther King when he was doing a Million Man March. If you
Hmm.
Martin Luther King, you're not gonna just come up here and just freestyle, just come up the top of your head and just say whatever comes to your head, just start spitballing. You finna create a structured plan, calculate it, have a strategy, practice it, say it over and over out loud, perform it. That's another thing. Say it over and over out loud. Because you could think it in your head and read it. Once you say it out loud a few times, now when you say it in an interview, it's gonna be muscle memory, it's gonna be easy. So you want to over prepare for these interviews. There's a lot of different extra stuff that you can do. Reach out to me. I'm gonna teach all specific things that you can do extra in terms of separating yourself from these other candidates. Send an email before and after. It's just little things like that count. It's the little things that count. My football coach told me that, and that was super real. It's the little things that count. So even me, when I reached out, I just had an interview. They was like, "Man, I really appreciate the quick follow up email. I appreciate you." They like stuff like that. So that's
Yeah.
the biggest thing in the interview, though, the humanizing, personable aspect. So you got to actually make a connection with the person that's in front of you because people hire people. I see people that did course careers a year ago, did this BDR camp, got this job, this SDR, and they can't get a job compared to somebody that just applied to a bunch of random jobs. They didn't even want to do tech sales, but they just like people like them as a person. In my last company, I was killing it, and they damn near was trying to belittle me because I was overperforming because they didn't want to promote me. The person that they just love as a person, they just like with as they say, golden retriever energy.
Yeah.
The person that everybody just loves, they gonna get promoted 2, 3 times before the overperformer at certain company like bad company. At good
Yeah.
company, I don't have to like every company ain't a good company.
Yeah, but what's even better is if you're both. If you're like the likable person and you hit your numbers, it's like a
Exactly. So
recipe for
that's
like there's
exactly.
there's no way that you're not gonna be in a better position. But I was gonna ask a question, I kind of forgot. But what's the most common question you get from your mentees as far as like, what's the biggest issue for them? What do they usually ask you about?
That's a good question. I say the interview. The interview, people don't even. You would be surprised. There's certain questions that are repeated and like reoccurring in
Yes.
every single tech sales interview. Why sales? Tell me about
Yeah.
yourself. What salary? Oh, I see you worked here. Tell me about that. Why are you leaving here? What are you looking for? It's certain questions they're gonna ask. So it'll literally be the basics. Like the interview is the most important part, and that's what they need the most help with. If I sit here and I say, okay, oh, it was a pleasure to meet you, Esteban. I know we've been talking for a minute. You talked to my recruiter, Tiffany. She said amazing things about you. So I'm not gonna talk too long. Just go ahead and tell me about yourself. They don't know what to say. Like they'll be freezed up. They'll say a bunch
Mm-hmm.
of irrelevant stuff. They'll get to and ahhing. They'll, well, I'll go and they'll and I'll they just they that's the hardest thing is the interview. And it's the most important thing in monumental piece. So that's where you gotta really overperform and over prepare and put an emphasis on that interview portion.
Yeah, yeah. People don't realize an interview is literally a performance. Obviously you want to be yourself, but you know, it's like dating somebody. You don't want to show your worst qualities when you go on your first date. You know, you only want to show your best qualities, right? But
No, that's
obviously,
real. Wait. Before you get to it,
go ahead.
I gotta interject. I'm sorry for interrupting you,
Go
but
ahead.
and that's what I tell every single one of my mentees. I say sales is like dating. So when I was doing it, at first I was good. I was like top performer already, but
Yeah.
I wasn't like just killing it. Then when I had my best months, one of my colleagues was like, "Man, sales is just like dating. Like, you know, you go to you wouldn't say that. You wouldn't certain things I was saying on the phone. He's like, yeah, you never say that. You wouldn't say that to a girl. So why would you say that? And the way he broke it down, like for example, I know a good one. People would be like, oh, you know, I was cutting hair for 10 years and I was fixing light bulbs and putting in this and that. And I'm just looking to get into tech sales, just looking for somebody to give me a chance. I didn't used to do this, but you know, I was hoping it's something I'm aspiring to do one day. I was hoping somebody give me a chance. You won't walk up to a woman and be like, "Hey, how you doing? My name's Azir. You know, I don't really talk to women too much, but I was hoping you could give me a chance." You wouldn't do that. So it's the same thing. Once you said sales is like dating, I literally started having that mindset when it comes to building rapport. It's just like you wouldn't walk up to a woman and be like, "What's your number?" You could do that, but
Yeah,
if
right.
you actually have a conversation with her and you're gonna have a
Yeah.
better chance to get, you feel me? So it's like once they told me that, I started applying that, and I feel like it's a very similar framework. So I feel like that's a good analogy.
Yeah, everybody wants a chance, but nobody wants to create an opportunity. And I think that's really important. Like, and this, especially in this space, or maybe this job market in general, you have to go out your own and follow up with people and create that opportunity for yourself. Because I think right now there's like an oversaturation of people applying and jobs not hiring enough compared to the amount of people that are applying. But we kind of have 10 minutes left before I guess we finish it up. What would be, if somebody can start something today, like a free piece of advice that you can give them, what would it be?
I struggle when people ask me questions like my brain. I just think of a million things. But if I just had to say one thing, I had to say get a mentor because a mentor will teach you the
Yeah.
million things that came to my mind. So if I had to just say one answer, that's what it would be: is get a mentor.
No, you're right, because you said 2 years and it took me like a year and 6 months. So it took me almost damn near the same amount of time. And if I had somebody, I would have saved literally maybe a year of my time or more, maybe. You know what I'm saying? I
You
help
got to think about it
people.
like this, bro. I'm
Go
sorry to
ahead.
stop you for a second. I got my role a week after I did course careers. So
Hmm.
if you break it down, if you make $90,000 as a BDR over 2 years, that's $180,000.
Hmm.
So I could have literally been an account executive, already got promoted, made $180,000 a year. Instead, I got to wait 2 years just to get started on the process. I could have already been. So I could have. I'm 24 now. I just turned 24 and I'm trying to get to AE right now. I could have well been AE and been in a whole different situation. So like, if you could pay, I don't care if it costs $10,000. Some of these programs, like people that do what we do, they charge 10,000, 3,000, 1,500 a month, because you're changing your life forever. So where I was a year ago, I literally shout out Jennifer Reed, shout out her. It's a lot of people, shout out Sebastian, Chris Waba. I was literally sitting back watching YouTube, seeing certain videos, like, man, I wish I was in this position. Like, dang, you lucky. Like, dang, they the chosen one. Next thing you know, I woke up, I'm in the position. They interviewing me. They
Yeah.
shout me out. They only posted me. I'm like, dang, like, so it could be y'all. So we want y'all to be the next success story. So definitely reach out to a mentor, cold call, cold email, apply to the job, and just start researching, bro. Start listening to books, start listening to audio books. Off the top of my head, How to Win Friends and Influence People, The Alchemist is real good, Seller Be Sold, The 10X Rule, Millionaire Fast Lane. It's certain books that you're gonna read that's gonna get them geared. You feel me? So once you start thinking on a certain level, then you start speaking more eloquently, you start thinking deeper, you start coming up with more planning. I learned the skills from a BDR and made my own business within like 3 to 4 months. It was quick, and I wasn't even trying to do it. So just keep going hard every single day. The little things add up to the big things. So you time blocking your day. Okay, this hour I'm calling, this hour I'm strategizing, this hour I'm coming up with email. This then when you actually hit those little goals, then I'm gonna add up to the big goals.
Right. Well, we have like 5 minutes left, but I just want to mention something because everybody and their mother has taken course careers. I've taken course careers, you've taken course careers. So I'll be honest, you found your position in a week. I probably found my position in 6 months. You understand what I'm saying? So like
Yeah.
everybody's track is different. So what I would say is if you can go back in time, would you have rather taken a course or gotten a mentor?
Damn, that's a crazy question. This the thing. The mentors, every mentor do a different thing. So even like me
Yeah.
and you, we compare. I'd be like, my call take 2 hours and 30 minutes. You'd be like, bro, about 30 minutes. Or
Yeah.
you'd be
Yeah.
like, damn, I do this. I'd be like, damn, I don't even do that. So every mentor is different. And this is me, the God honest truth. If you would weigh up, now that I know what I know, if I weigh all the stuff that I get from my mentorship, you get unlimited calls. Course
Yeah.
Career is gonna charge you like 50 a call.
Yeah.
I don't know, prices differentiate, you feel me? But
Yeah.
you got that. You got the tech sales dictionary. So that's like a 35-page book I created, teaching you everything tech sales, cold call scripts, cold email scripts, hiring manager sales cadence, what to say in an interview, questions to ask. 35 pages, all the AI tools, tips, tricks. And then I give you a free boot camp. So it's like the same way you could, oh yeah, I attended course careers, the 3 months, and I'm back to put y'all on. If you made it this far in the video, BDR Reword Training is a free tech sales boot camp. So to answer your question, I get the mentorship because it's gonna teach me so much stuff like free free boot camp, free SDR freelance job, Glen Coco. That's a job you can start working today. And if you don't get a job in 2 months, you got 2 months worth of experience to put
Yeah.
on your LinkedIn and in your resume. So now that I know all that I know, if I could choose myself as a mentor, 100% mentor,
Yeah.
100%, 100%.
1000%. All right. I mean, that's pretty much it. We're gonna wrap it up. But one last thing, in 1 minute or less, just say something positive you think that would just keep somebody going right now. Maybe they're watching this and they're thinking of quitting. Because I've been there. I've applied at literally 275 places and got nada back. So if somebody was in that position right now, what would you tell them in 1 minute or less?
So a year ago, I was living in Atlanta. I was making like $40,000 a year as a manager. My pops got laid off, so I had to move. I had $7,000 in debt. I didn't know what I was going to do with my life. I didn't know if I wanted to do cybersecurity, networking, tech sales. I didn't know. Once I moved to Atlanta, because I had so much credit card debt, it said I was going to take 25 years just to pay that off. So I moved to Alabama and just locked myself in a room, locked into the tech sales stuff. I got scammed for crypto for $500. That taught me to invest in myself. So I said, if I could survive and pay the bills with that $500 gone, my next 500 going to course careers. Did course careers, got my job a week later, started helping everybody else get their job a month later, created a business 3 months later. Now all my dream, I literally in 6 months, literally in 3 months, you could change your life. 6 months, a year, you could change your life. So you just need to lock in. You need to get the right knowledge because that's the first thing you're gonna pay is that ignorance debt. If you knew everything, you wouldn't be in a position. If you're struggling right now, you don't know everything. So reach out, talk to the right people, start studying, reading books, doing the right things, reach out to a mentor, do course careers, do everything. You need to do everything in your power. I think I went over a
Nah,
minute,
you're
but yeah.
good. You're good. You can finish it off. You can finish it off if you need to.
Yeah, but you need to do everything in your power to get into the position you want. Life can change so fast. In 3 months, you could be achieve majority of your dreams that you never thought you could achieve.
All right. That's about it. Thanks, bro. Thanks for hopping on and sharing your story. And yeah, I mean, a lot can happen in 1 year. Honestly, my story is really similar. Not even 1 year, even 2 months. You know what I'm saying? When I started my business to help people, I went from writing resumes to helping people get jobs in literally less than 2 months. And like, I had so many clients, I was so busy that I didn't know what to do. You know, understand? So obviously, that's a good problem helping too many people, but you never know. A lot can happen, especially in a year. So definitely, thanks for hopping on, man.
Appreciate y'all. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. We're gonna get up with y'all in the next.